let's talk about the keys moving forward for the Pittsburgh Penguins, not only in game 2 tonight, but in the rest of this series against the New York Rangers. For me, the first one, and I have two, the first one is going to be better defensive zone awareness. It's something that I saw throughout majority of regulation. In overtimes, I thought they buttoned it up really nicely. But in regulation, a lot of the times the Penguins were losing track of guys in the defensive zone, and stuff like that just cannot happen. There's 3 instances and players that I outlined specifically. Brian Dumoulin early on was losing guys left and right. There were people getting opportunities in front of the net. Dumoulin looked like he was out to lunch in the first period. Luckily, he buttoned it down. Brian Boyle on the second goal for the New York Rangers, the Andrew Kopp goal, I don't know where he was looking. He went to the point to try to take away that pass and let Andrew Kopp slide right into the slot. You got to let them shoot that point shot, even though that's where they scored their first goal from. It opened up such a lane that most players, let alone a guy with the skill level of Andrew Kopp, is going to be able to score. And the third guy, and this one, most egregiously, Jeff Carter. I think he had an awful game 1. I really do. When I said guys like Evan Rodriguez did a lot of the right things, Jeff Carter, to me, I didn't see a lot of good things from him. I saw a lot of poor defensive awareness in the defensive zone, and I saw a lot of poor puck awareness just all over the ice. It was not a good game for Big Jeff Carter, and I think that that's something that really needs to be buckled down for the entire team. Better defensive zone awareness. If they could do it like they did in overtime, they're good. If they do it like they did in a lot of regulation, it gives me a little pause, because that's when the Rangers get really good opportunities.
Yeah, I think that'd be my biggest adjustment too, is just tightening it up defensively. You're about to have your third string goalie in there. You're going to have your ECHL call up on the bench. You have to play it safe now, especially in the net. Don't get me wrong. Louis Domingue is a NHL caliber goalie, or at least he was at one point. Do I need to bring up 2018 again? 2018-19. Do I have to do that again for you guys? Again, I get it. He was behind the record-breaking Tampa Bay Lightning, because the underlying numbers of that season aren't the greatest for him. But
yeah, no, he was carried to that record.
But the fact that he was able to be carried to a 21-5 record for a backup.
Yeah,
I can remember conversations being legitimately had of if his record should give him Vezina votes that year. Looking at 26 games played, 21 wins. You know what? There's a conversation to be had there.
Yeah, for
what it's worth.
And what do I always say about backup goaltenders? I don't need you to be Igor Shesterkin. I need you to give the team a chance to win.
Yep.
Louis Domingue has made a career of doing that.
Yeah, and he can do it again. He has the opportunity to do it again.
Yep.
It's frightening, but
yes,
the biggest adjustment is going to be just making sure those shots stay outside, that he's able to see the pucks in front of him, and that maybe he can eat a little healthier and maybe a little more on his game. But you know what?
Not be holding back a massive diarrhea the entire time he's in the game.
Yeah, and then maybe the NHL investigation that I've been rumored to hear can pull through. But I don't know. I was impressed with his play regardless. I just I want to not be shaking in my boots every time the Rangers are in the zone.
Yeah, and I think that's what he provides, luckily enough. The other thing that I would like to see going forward, I think it's a big adjustment for the Pittsburgh Penguins, is to continue to hammer home at the net front. I think they did it a little bit in game number 1, hence the reason they scored 3 out of their 4 goals within 5 feet of Igor Shesterkin, including Malkin's triple overtime winner. But that's the only way you're going to beat this guy. The only goal that went in off basically a straight shot coming into the zone and shooting was Jake Gensel, and he was even like 8 feet away, but he just was in all alone and made a really good goal scorer's goal. Plus, you got to keep the Rangers to the outside. They did it in overtime. If they could do that moving forward, I know it's easier said than done. It's a tough style to play, sitting in front of the net front, but the Rangers are poor at keeping people away from the front of the net. If they're down 2 defensemen, that's going to make it even worse for them, and that's the only way you're going to beat a guy that's playing the way that Igor Shesterkin's playing. So continue to hammer home the net front as well.
Rip those shots on goal.
Yep.
83 is an impressive number, despite how many periods it is. That's an impressive number, and you pace that out to 5.5 periods or so. What is that?
I think they had over 110 shot attempts. Yeah. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. No, that's the kind of thing that needs to be replicated every game.
Yep.
Regardless 100%. Of how good or bad the shots are for you. I get that on the opposite end, you want their shots to come from outside, but hey, you know what? Your shots from the outside too. They're all shots are good in the playoffs.
Yes, 100%. I mean, in the playoffs, especially you get into the overtimes. They talked about it extensively on the broadcast. You get into the overtimes like that, any shot can go in. You knew it wasn't going to be a dazzling Michigan goal whenever you're in the third overtime. It was going to be, it's going to get thrown in the net. It's going to hit something weird and it's going to go in the back. That's how it's
Yeah.
going to end.